So Supergirl is the second installment in James Gunn's rebooted DC universe, and James Gunn does not take directing duties here. Here, the directing duties are handed over to Craig Gillespie, and basically the plot here is basically we have Supergirl. She's at drinking, celebrating her 23rd birthday, when basically she is approached by another character called Ruthie. She's basically had her family slaughtered by the main villain here. Here we get Krem. So she's basically on a revenge mission. She's basically out kind of like looking for to kind of like recruit her to kind of like help her on this revenge mission. Supergirl is kind of like reluctant to basically join this, but when our villain of the movie Krem basically attacks Supergirl's dog Crypto, then she basically kind of like gets on board with it, and ultimately we can all get on board with it, because when we're basically put into a position where man's best friend is literally the life of a domestic pet is basically hangs in the balance, and that's kind of a purpose, we can all get on board, and we're like, right, okay, we totally want you to succeed in this mission now, because damn it, that dog is not dying today, not on our watch. So essentially what we have here, and that's basically all I'll kind of go as far with in terms of plot wise. I will be keeping this review like largely kind of like spoiler free. So yeah, basically, and I think that straight out of the gate, I don't really have a lot of kind of like experience with Supergirl as a franchise. I never read the comics. Apparently, this was the graphic novel Woman of Tomorrow basically provides kind of like a backbone to what this movie is essentially based on, so yeah, basically, but I can't really kind of tell you how well this movie captures our comic book. I haven't read it, so my only real experience with Supergirl, I remember kind of seeing the original Supergirl in the 80s, that I haven't really seen since I was a kid, and I feel kind of like it's best to kind of like keep it that way, kind of thing. Yeah, I had seen the more recently when WB did the TV series. I saw like bits and bobs of it there, but on the whole, but yeah, so yeah, I'm not the type of person who can give you this really sort of review this movie, kind of like, you know, giving you an insight into kind of like how well this captures a Supergirl lore and all of that kind of stuff. I can only really take it largely at face value. So with that in mind, I basically, what we kind of get here is the spin on Supergirl's character, played by Millie Alcock. I kind of like it here. I like the fact that we just don't get this sort of this squeaky clean kind of Supergirl here, where basically she's essentially just a kind of female counterpart to Clark Kent, and but we get basically a lot more depth here. The Supergirl here is basically a lot more broken. We basically delve into her backstory, where she's basically witnessed Krypton get destroyed before, so that's given us a lot more of a kind of like a broken kind of like character, if you like, and it's sort of like so we're kind of like, so we're a large portion of this movie. We see quite a lot of action in this movie, but a lot of it isn't really necessarily for a large chunk of it. It's not really Supergirl as we would think of maybe like Supergirl or Girl. A lot of that is kind of like reserved for the final act. I think that this movie essentially has all of the ingredients and all of the kind of beats for it to be really good. Like I said, we've got that sort of like character depth here in Millie Alcock's portrayal of Supergirl. We have I really like the character of Ruthie here. I thought that she was a really good addition here. I think the special effects and the action sequences here largely hold up really well. They're all pretty solid. We have Superman basically who's kind of like sprinkled throughout of this which I think is really good. It's really good to see him and Supergirl kind of like interacted. All of their engagements are really kind of nice. So we have Jason Momoa here playing Lobo, and he's essentially playing kind of like a lot of like relief here, quite a bit. Because we basically have a movie here that really isn't as colourful as like the Superman movie. We have a bit of a darker, a greyer kind of palette here that we're kind of like looking at. So yeah, basically we essentially have Jason Momoa's Lobo character kind of scattered throughout, providing these moments of kind of like a bit of a light relief type thing. So yeah, I think all of the ingredients here, I think it all kind of like ticks the boxes. But ultimately, I did find this movie a little bit underwhelming, despite that. And I think that it's just for it's that I think it's that cursed. I think this movie ultimately falls into that kind of cursed middle ground, really, where I can't tell you that this movie is a bad movie in any way. But it's just it's difficult to talk about it actually, because there's nothing really in this movie that's really offensive or really kind of like just bad, but there's nothing really that good or nothing too exciting about it neither. It is just literally one of those movies where you just kind of like you go out of it just go but was all right, it passed the time. It goes by. We've got basically this movie runs just to kind of like just shy of like 2 hours. I think about like an hour 50 minutes, something like that. So that's quite refreshing for a superhero movie as well, but there wasn't any need to kind of like do this like 2.5 hour kind of thing. So it passes the time. But that's kind of like all you can really say about it. And sometimes it feels like when the movie like this falls into that kind of like middle ground where it's just like, yeah, it's all right. Sometimes that feels like that's worse than if it was just like an outright bad movie in some respects. But yeah, I mean, on me, I'm still gonna give it a thumbs up. I think because yeah, largely. I did enjoy this movie, but yeah, but there was just nothing to get like personally. There was nothing in this movie that really kind of like moved the needle or anything like that. This is not that type of movie. This is just quite a fun film that you could just get. Yeah, it was all right. Do you know what I mean? It kind of like passed the time. So. And I think they're largely a big part of the reason for me personally why maybe it didn't land quite as much. The biggest specific critique I can give to this movie is the villain here. the villain here, where we basically, I just felt it was a really underwhelming villain. I thought it was a really bland villain. And I think that that does kind of bog the movie down a little bit. It's a little bit strange that we didn't have like James Gunn directing this movie. I'm not saying James Gunn was the right choice to direct this movie. I'm not saying that, but in terms of the whole all people who were when the trailers had dropped had basically said that it kind of gave off Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. It kind of does. You would still kind of get that as you're kind of watching it. So yeah, there's. I mean, Craig Gillespie has directed some like solid movies in his time, but he's never really, at least to my knowledge, directed a movie on this scale. And I think it shows. So I think it's almost like a little bit. The directing here feels a little bit for shallow water in that sense. It feels like almost like it's just sort of directing this movie with the fact that it's kind of like James Gunn in mind. So he's kind of like looking at Guardians of the Galaxy, or like going, okay, so that's kind of a flavour you want me to give to this sort of thing. And that seems to be kind of like the artistic or creative kind of path here. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, guys, like I said, I don't think that there's anything really bad about this movie. Like I said, apart from obviously a bit of a lackluster villain. But yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a movie that's necessarily something you need to really go like rush out and see neither. It's still I'm still kind of really interested in where this DC universe goes. We've got obviously like Clayface coming. We've got Man of Tomorrow coming out next year. There's still stuff that is coming out in this universe that I'm still really intrigued and interested by. But I'm not going to say that this movie is kind of like brought this sort of this DC universe kind of like back down to earth with a fun type of thing, and there's any reason where we should start to be concerned about the way this DC universe is kind of like panning out, if because I can imagine people sort of going, oh my god, well, this is only the second movie and the wheels are already starting to come off type thing. I don't feel like that at all, because I don't think it, like I said, I don't think this is a bad movie. I just feel like it's one of those movies, you just kind of, it falls into that middle ground where there's nothing really, really overly good to kind of like really shout out about this movie, but there's nothing really that bad about it either. It's just, it's one of those movies you just kind of go, yeah, that was all right. So ultimately, guys, I'm going to give this movie a 6 out of 10. So yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to ring a bell for notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please feel free to let me know down in the comment section if you've seen Supergirl yet, and if you did, what were your thoughts? If you haven't, what are your thoughts going into it? What's your anticipation level? What's if you've got any apprehensions, all of that stuff, let me know down in the comment section. Yeah, like I said, thank you guys once again for watching this video. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, and I will see you guys on the next one. You guys take care.